Hello and welcome to XVD Bibles. My name is Ethan. So today I have a really great video for you. Anyone out there who is considering getting a rebind, purchasing a rebind, specifically the content of today's video is going to be focused on different types of Bible text blocks. And there's a lot of videos out there from a number of different content creators where they rate, like, here's my five favorite text blocks to get rebound. And they list a bunch of popular ones, often like the ESV Heritage is one of them. You might get like a wide margin Bible. You might get like the New King James McLarens are really popular in those videos. So there's a lot of videos out there that give you recommendations for exact text blocks to consider when you go to purchase a rebind. And those Bible blocks are very popular. Of all of the text blocks that I've gotten, the ESV Heritage is a repeat one, and that's often the ESV Heritage is one of those blocks that's very often recommended. What I don't see is a lot of content creators grouping these Bibles, the different types of Bibles out there in this way. So I'm going to give you kind of a structured presentation on, three different tiers of Bibles that you might want to consider and kind of the pros and cons for each. So this video has been kind of rolling around in my head for, I have some notes in my journal here that are from over 2 weeks ago. And I finally just want to bite the bullet and, hit record and start discussing this with you all. So I have really three tiers here that I want to discuss today. And this video is kind of a follow-up of one of my previous popular videos. So I got a lot of really good engagement when I showcased the New King James Thomas Nelson 3005, the vintage, that really nice vintage Bible. I got a lot of really nice engagement in that video, and I want to do this kind of as a follow-up to kind of continue the conversation around, different Bibles to consider. On that video, I got a couple people both in the comments and over email who said, like, I got a vintage New King James Bible for a great price, really happy with it, loving it, etc. So I want to continue that, continue with that energy and continue that conversation forward. So I'll go ahead and talk about my three tiers here, and then we'll get into some of the pros and cons. But before I talk about the three tiers, these aren't in terms of, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, but these tiers are not ordered in terms of preference. Like, I don't think tier 1 is better than tier 3. It's just a way to kind of categorize everything. So these aren't in any particular order. I don't, look down on people who, don't send me a premium Bible to get rebound. I don't look down on people for sending me a vintage Bible or a modern production Bible, etc. I just, love to work with people's Bibles and give them a great product. I'm more focused on the cover making process than the exact, type of Bible that people send me. But this will be helpful if you're trying to decide between different text blocks. So the one kind of caveat that I wanted to get out of the way before I go into each of these tiers is that when you go to search for a Bible to get rebounds, to purchase a Bible for the purpose of being rebound, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you guarantee that Bible is Smithsonian. They're really the vast majority of modern production Bibles, as in like Bibles you'll get off of Amazon or, Bibles you'll get from Christian Book, etc. The vast majority of those are going to be Smithsonian. But once you start wading into like the vintage world, you really need to be aware of, is this Bible Smithsonian? So I would say, like, the one kind of feature that applies to any tier is you need to ensure that your Bible is Smithsonian, because there's a number of like really cool formatted Bibles out there that are not Smithsonian, and it's good to just be aware of that. So Yeah, so we'll go in and start talking about our three tiers here. Tier one is going to be vintage Bibles, which I love and I've talked about extensively up to this point. The tier two is going to be modern production Bibles. So that's like, a Crossway, a Crossway large print Thinline would be a modern production Bible. This is a modern production Bible. This text block in here is this is an ESV wide margin reference, and the text block was from an imitation leather edition that was like $40, I think. So that is what I consider like modern production Bibles that you could purchase, on Amazon for very inexpensively. So that's tier two, modern production. So tier three are really premium Bibles. You'd be surprised if you're not super deep into the rebind world that a lot of people get premium Bibles rebound. They'll find a lightly used Schuyler. They'll find a lightly used maybe like an older R.L. Allen that they get for a good price. And they'll purchase a premium Bible to get rebound, or maybe a Cambridge. They'll purchase like a Cambridge calf split text block, maybe a Pitt Minion or a calf split Clarion, or a calf split wide margin like the ESV Aquila. They'll purchase between $100 and $150 Bible, and then immediately send it to a rebinder to get it recovered. So that's my tier three premium Bibles, and this Bible here is a premium rebind of a premium block. This Bible is really popular on my channel. It's the ESV Diadem. And this was a $130. This text block is not the hardcover version. This is the calf split version, which is over $100. So let's go ahead and talk about the pros and cons to a couple of these tiers here. So the first tier I wanted to discuss would be vintage Bibles. You know me, I am not, I'm not here to just try to sell you Bibles and to sell you, encourage everyone out there to buy a $200 Schuyler and then send it to me. I mean, I think that's cool when people do that, but I really think vintage Bibles have a lot to offer, especially for the cost. There's a very high quality. There's a high value in vintage Bibles. Like I've talked about the 3005, how I love this paper, how I think this paper is, better than the 2028 GSM Schuyler paper that they use. This is a Smithsonian block, really clear printing, really nice, kind of like Goldilocks size. So this is a good example of a text block that has a very high value for you as a rebind, maybe a rebind skeptic or someone who's considering, getting a rebind. So vintage Bibles offer a lot. They offer a lot of unique opportunities to give, old Bibles new life, and to kind of recreate some legendary Bibles. So there is a Bible that R.L. Allen produced for a couple years. It was called the Allen New King James NKJV 1, and that was one of the only R.L. Allen premium New King James Bibles that they produced, and they used a very, very high quality Holman center column reference text block. And, they're not obviously not produced anymore. And those on the used market go for like $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, depending on the condition. Especially if you have the original box, etc. So if you can find a vintage, Holman Ultrathin New King James text block out there, you can kind of recreate, according to your own, rebind specifications, a legendary Bible like the Allen New King James NKJV 1, that type of thing. So there's some really unique opportunities out there for doing really interesting things like that. And that type of thing is more for the Bible collector and less for like the everyman, the layman who just wants an awesome Bible. That's kind of who I see more do like the Allen NKJV 1 replicas. But if you just want a cool Bible to get rebound at a really good price, tier 1 vintage Bibles are a really good way to get that done. So a couple other benefits to vintage Bibles is that a lot of the layouts that they use are out of print. So this exact layout here is no longer in print. And this exact size of Bible with this style of print, this more of like vintage format, is no longer available. So if this format, like really classic looking text block, if that's appealing to you, then vintage is definitely the way to go. And to a lot of specifically Thomas Nelson Bibles, they have very high quality paper because a lot of them are printed in Korea. And a lot of older vintage Bibles are were printed in the United States as well. So Zondervan had a really long run, a good run of NIV 84 US printings in the 80s, in the 70s, not in the 70s, in the 80s. There are a number of really nice NIV text blocks out there that were printed in the United States. Like Zondervan has a really nice center column reference wide margin. I've done a video of a rebind that I did of one of those. Paper in that Bible, the paper in the 80s NIV Zondervan center column reference wide margin Bibles is incredible. It's really, really, really good. It's better than, the Bible paper that Cambridge is using on their current NIV wide margin Bibles by a good margin, I think. So yeah, the paper quality, if you really hunt and if you really know and do your research, the paper quality in vintage Bibles is often very, very good. So you also, like I mentioned earlier, with vintage Bibles, you have the ability to really revive and recycle old Bibles, which is really cool. I mean, you can take a Bible that's, at this point, 50, 60, 70 years old, get it completely, remastered in some ways, and give it another 60, 70, 80 years of life, depending on, the quality of the rebind. So kind of the one caveat I wanted to mention about vintage Bibles is often you will not get perfect gilding unless you shill out the money to get a new in-box vintage Bible. I mean, this Bible is, I would say, almost like new. Very, very good condition for its age, but you can see there's some really light kind of surface scratches on the gilding. That's something that's kind of a compromise area if you want to go vintage, as you have to say, okay, I might have a couple fingernail scratches on my Bible, but for the price, I get a really great Bible. But also, if you want to get a vintage Bible speckled and have the gilding completely removed, that's always an option as well. So moving on here. So tier 2, I wanted to talk about our modern production Bibles. And that's probably the majority of what I get across my desk is modern production Bibles. So there's a lot of benefits to going with a modern production Bible. Modern production Bibles are often very inexpensive. I mean, I mentioned before, this text block is, $40. And, it's Smith sewn. It has a lot to offer, and makes, a great, rebind, candidate. So the benefits of a modern production Bible are that modern production Bibles are very available. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at a local bookstore. You can really get them all over. So maybe a disadvantage is that often modern production Bibles are printed in China, and the Chinese printings of modern production Bibles, it's getting a lot better. I mean, I would say that the paper in the ESV wide margin reference text block is excellent. I would say that the paper is very, very good. But if you're the type of person who like only wants to buy, United States, I support that, that way of thinking. And modern production Bibles, there are very limited options for, U.S. printed modern production Bibles. I think some of the only U.S. printings out there might be church Bible publishers. I think they're printed in the United States. I'll have to research that and put that in the comments. But so another benefit to modern production Bibles is that they're very often line matched. So line matching is not super new. So again, backing up a little bit, line matching is when you have the lines on one page matching vertically the lines on the reverse page. And that helps with readability, specifically with thin paper. And line matching has really become the standard for a lot of like mid-range Bibles, really in the past 15 or so years. So line matching is a benefit to going modern production. So a lot of the older, the 3000 and the vintage 3005 and a lot of like older NIV Bibles, like that really nice NIV I mentioned earlier, that Bible doesn't have line matching, but honestly, in a lot of older Bibles, the paper is so nice that line matching is kind of obsolete. So it's kind of like, it's kind of funny how that ended up happening. So you had Bible publishers using like really high Korean production houses to print Bibles. They went to China for a number of years and then, decreased their paper quality and then had to adjust how they made their Bibles, including line matching, in order to compensate for that cheaper paper. It's just kind of interesting how that, ended up playing out. So another benefit of going with a modern production Bible when you go to consider, what type of Bible you want to get rebound is that there's a lot of reviews online through YouTube for modern production Bibles. You could search ESV wide margin reference review and you can find 10 really nice quality detailed reviews on this text block specifically. You could watch them and ensure that, I know that this Bible will work for me, and, you can be assured of what you get. I didn't have that ability with purchasing this, vintage Bible. There aren't, a glut of Nelson vintage, 3005 reviews on YouTube. So that's a benefit of going modern production, is that you have the ability to really research and review the format, the quality, the size, the exact dimensions, etc., and really ensure that you're getting the Bible that you want. So another benefit of modern production Bibles when you go to consider blocks for rebinding is that with modern production Bibles, you're guaranteed to get a new text block. You're not going to have like little folds on the pages. You're not going to have, at least hopefully, you're going to have gilding that's in really good condition from the factory. So, you're not going to have to compromise on the gilding aspect, which is a compromise with vintage Bibles often. So, so you're going to ensure that you get a new text block. So another interesting thing to consider regarding modern production Bibles is that you can create a premium Bible. You can take a modern production text block that has pretty good paper quality, and you can create a premium Bible that doesn't exist. So this text block, the ESV wide margin reference, is a very popular text block to get rebound because there's not a goatskin edition of this exact text block available currently. There is a calfskin edition of this, but it's not super high quality. and it doesn't have art gilding. It doesn't have perimeter stitching. It has a tab, tabbed construction, but it doesn't have a number of really premium features that a lot of people look for. So the benefit of doing modern production text blocks is that you can create a premium Bible that doesn't exist. Another Bible that a lot of people like to choose for rebinds is the ESV Creeds and Confessions Bible. That's a Bible that's a really nice format. It's the same format. It's actually the same, this portion, excluding the margins, obviously, but like this portion is the same on the ESV Creeds Bible. It's two column. It's a 2-column paragraph format with the references down here. A lot of people choose the ESV Creeds Bible to get rebound. A lot of people also will take like Berean Standard Bibles, which have a number of decent premium editions, but there's just not a lot of options. So they'll take a Berean Standard Bible and get that rebound. So there's a lot of benefits. There's definitely a lot of benefits to going modern production. And if you want, another interesting thing about modern production Bibles that you can do from the creation of the final product aspect is that you can create, for a pretty good price, you can create like an ESV, like a Crossway Omega, but with like a really nice, cool cowhide cover instead. So if you were to purchase an ESV Thinline reference text block, modern production text block, which is the same format as the Omega, if you take that text block, send it to a rebinder, get it done in like a cool Badalassi Carlo leather or Sokoto goat skin, something really nice, something that is really your thing, you can get, a custom Omega type Bible that has that cool factor, compared to like the kind of the plain Jane goat skin Omegas that are available right now. So those are some benefits of modern production Bibles. There's definitely a lot of them. And let's move on here to premium, some tier 3 premium text blocks. Since Bible rebinding has become such a big thing, and kind of like the cool aspect of it has continued to increase, I think purchasing a premium Bible to get rebound is more of a recent thing. So getting a premium Bible rebound is kind of an interesting phenomenon to me. So if you're looking like for quote unquote the one Bible for you, if you found like the one text block that you love that isn't available, if you find like the one Bible that you like, and you're going to say like, okay, this is going to be my only rebind, and I'm going to just not hold back and, spend as much money as I need to get like the one Bible for me. I think that's why a lot of people go premium is, if you like the Diadem text block, or you want to invest in like a really nice wide margin Bible, you might go like Cambridge, get a calf split Cambridge Bible, get that rebound and like a really cool leather, and be like, okay, this is my Bible forever type thing. If you kind of want like one Bible to rule them all type thing, that is, I think, a lot of reasons why people go premium. And there is an interesting phenomenon that I've been seeing here recently when it comes to purchasing kind of like discounted Bibles, and getting them discounted premium Bibles and getting them rebound. So on like the Facebook groups where people buy and sell Bibles, there's a lot of really heavily discounted premium Bibles on there that you could purchase that are like new, that you could then, get rebound. So if, for example, I've seen like calf split. So these calf split Cambridge Diadems new are like $130 to $150 depending, but I've seen them like as low as $60, $70, $80 shipped in new condition, or the presentation page isn't filled out and there's no markings in it. I've seen them mark down that much. So there is kind of some caveats with getting premium Bibles rebound, is that you can, if you hunt and if you're patient, you can get a good deal. So for example, if you really like the personal sized quintel, like the original personal sized quintel format, I've seen personal sized quintel Bibles go Bibles that don't have any markings and the presentation page isn't filled out. I've seen Bibles, PSQs go for like close to $100 on the Facebook groups. So, and that's like 70% markdown from sale price. So there's a lot of deals to be found out there. If you're listening to this and you're thinking like, I don't own a Schuyler Bible, I would never get a Schuyler Bible, rebound. I can't imagine doing that. Just think of it this way. Like, some people make Bible collecting and Bible using like their singular hobby. I've met people like that, and I was that type of person for a little while. So it's just a conscience thing, right? If you have, if God's given you the means to get a $150 Bible rebound and you have the freedom of conscience to do that, more power to you. Make that decision, according to between you and the Lord and between you and your family, and do what is best. But if you're like, I don't really like the idea of getting a premium Bible rebound, that's fine. I've rebound a premium Bible that I own myself, heavily discounted because I just pay for the materials. But I've never, gotten a Schuyler Bible, rebound by anyone else, or an Allen Bible, etc. So everyone's kind of in a different place with this hobby, and we just have to be, sensitive and understanding and charitable about that. So, and the last thing I wanted to mention when it comes to getting premium Bibles rebound is that premium Bibles, if they are rebound, they often have a higher resale value. And this comes with a caveat, because I work really hard on my Bibles, but I'm very aware of the fact that I am very, very new at this trade. And I've seen people try to sell my Bibles on the forums and gotten no bites. They've failed to sell like a Bible that I rebound and worked really hard on. So when you go to consider like premium Bibles, at least at this current point in my trade, if I would not factor in resale value of the final product if you're going to be sending me your Bible. I'm very self-aware of the fact that I'm very new at this trade, and most people don't know who I am. They've never heard of Ex Fide Bibles. I realize that I'm fairly new to this thing still. So if you are one of my customers that is considering, purchasing a rebind from me, I would caution you not to have resale value as a deciding factor for the Bible that you send me. I've seen people, customers of mine, try to resell Bibles that I've rebound from them. I mean, granted, they were like 20, 30 Bibles ago, but I've seen people try to resell Bibles that I've bound, really, really premium text blocks. Like I saw a guy try to sell an Allen rebind that I did, and he didn't really get the price. He didn't get his full money back even. And I don't really know what to say other than, be cautious about choosing, be cautious about how you choose a text block to send me. If you want to spend $200 on a Schuyler and send it to Redbird Bibles and you keep it in excellent, like new condition, I am pretty sure that you'd be able to get, all of your money back if you decided to sell it. But just be aware, if you're going with a novice rebinder like me, that likelihood is a lot lower. So just giving you a warning out there, I wouldn't encourage people to send me a premium Bible if their main deciding point is resale value. But that being said, if you plan on using and tearing up your Bible in the good sense of the word, definitely don't hesitate to purchase the Bible that you really want and get it rebound by me or anyone else. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone out there. Those are kind of my 3 tiers of Bibles that you should consider when going to purchase a Bible for rebinding. So again, I just wanted to summarize. Tier 1, vintage Bibles, I think are great. I think are often very, very cost effective. Tier 2 are modern production Bibles, Bibles that might not have a premium edition available. And Tier 3 are premium Bibles, the cream of the crop. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions about text blocks that I would recommend, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. You can comment on this video, subscribe, email me at xvdbibles@gmail.com. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'd love to know, how you go about deciding what Bible, whether modern production, premium, or vintage, you end up going with. So thank you for watching. My name is Ethan from XVD Bibles.